The movie starts with Pete and his son Tyler heading to their new home, a storage facility called Plaza Storage that Pete bought, along with their dog, Buddy. When Pete arrived, he saw something that made him act aggressively. He searched everywhere for what Buddy had seen but found nothing. In the end, Buddy fell from the car, the chain around his neck snapped, and he died. The real estate agent, named Yvonne, made Pete sign a lot of papers, including a statement confirming that a death had occurred on the property, just to make sure Pete knew before officially buying it. After signing, Pete officially became the owner of Plaza Storage. Pete and Tyler got used to the place before burying Buddy, and Pete reassured Tyler that Buddy went to heaven with his mother. After putting Tyler to bed, Pete looked around their new place and found a picture of the family who owned the property before him. The next day, Pete started his work and checked the storage area with Tyler, which was marked with yellow crime scene tape. They heard a metal bed creaking from another storage unit but ignored it and continued inspecting the rest of the storage units. After Tyler went back home, Pete opened the metal door to a storage unit and was hit by a strong, foul smell. He checked the unit and saw strange things stored in jars and alcohol bottles. At the same time, Tyler was opening boxes and checking their contents. He heard a faint sound behind him, and when he turned, he saw a child's toy on the floor, and strangely, the child's ball was next to the box he was looking at. That night, Tyler was tasked with taking out the trash. He did exactly what he was told but heard a sound coming from the storage area wrapped in yellow tape. He went inside and found a child's bike. The next day, Pete saw Tyler riding the bike and asked where he got it. Pete yelled at him for taking something that wasn't his, but after convincing him, he let Tyler ride it as long as he returned it when needed. After going back to work, it didn't take long before Tyler came to Pete's window, terrified. He heard a sound coming from storage unit 105. Pete thought there might be something inside but didn't believe it. Tyler stayed in front of the unit, pressed his ear to the door, and suddenly something hit the metal door from inside. That night, Pete had just finished packing everything when he discovered information about the old man, the former owner of the place. He learned that the old man's wife and son had died long before him, leaving Pete with no choice but to keep the old man's belongings. Pete decided to check the storage unit that had been the crime scene, marked with yellow tape. He found an old drawer and a rope wrapped around the metal column where the old man had hanged himself. The next day, Pete and Tyler went to the church where they had rented the storage. Tyler was scared and didn't want to go inside, so Pete talked to Father Mann alone. The unit had been rented before by a priest named Father Williams. Father Mann promised to sort out the account and remove anything left by Father Williams. Pete suggested that Father Mann continue the lease for a full year and pay in advance. Father Mann didn't hesitate since he didn't know what was inside the storage and decided he needed to come and see it himself. That night, Father Mann watched Pete and Tyler from the window. He looked very strange. Tyler had a nightmare that he was walking through the storage corridors, remembering Buddy's aggressive behavior before he died. Then Tyler screamed in fear when an invisible force started attacking him. Pete rushed into Tyler's room to check on him and found the child's toy under Tyler's face. He left it and walked away, not realizing that Tyler had been awake the whole time, staring at him with a frightening expression. The next day, Pete found Tyler silently staring at Buddy's grave. Seeing the sadness on his son's face, he promised to get him a new dog once they settled in. Pete returned home and called Dr. Young to tell her he had been acting a little strangely. Dr. Young spoke with Tyler about his mother, who had died in a car accident. There was a hint that the accident was Pete's fault because he had been driving drunk. After his mother's death, Tyler had been placed in foster care before Pete took him in. Later, the conversation shifted to Plaza Storage, and when she asked about Tyler's father, Tyler suddenly glared at her and asked if she meant that his dad was crazy like his mother and the boy Jack's mom. Dr. Young was frightened by what she heard and asked Tyler how he knew Jack, but he returned to normal and didn't remember what he had said. Dr. Young then called Pete and explained that Tyler had suffered an emotional trauma from past events and wanted to see him 2 or 3 times a week. She offered to do it for free to help Tyler, who was clearly going through a crisis. Pete decided to talk to Tyler first before agreeing or refusing. After Pete and Tyler left, Dr. Young took a file from her desk. Back at Plaza Storage, Father Mann came to check on the storage space rented by Father Williams to see if he had abandoned it. He cleared everything out and found Jack's toy on the floor. Before visiting Pete in his office, he asked if there were any other church or Father Williams' belongings, and Pete said no. Father Mann invited Pete to join them for Sunday Mass every week. The next day, Tyler looked inside a drawer in Storage Unit 17 and found a key to Storage Unit 105. He took the key, opened the unit, and went inside. The metal doors closed on their own. After a while, Pete couldn't find Tyler anywhere, but when he returned to the office, he saw Tyler sitting and staring at him with a scary expression, asking why she was here. Pete was startled before he saw Dr. Young park her car, and when they returned to Tyler's office, he was gone. Dr. Young asked Pete if he knew how the old man, the former owner, had died. Pete assumed the old man had killed himself after his wife and son passed away. Dr. Young revealed that the old man's wife had killed their son before ending her own life, and that she had also been the doctor treating their son Jack. She explained that Jack had been having nightmares and knowing things with no explanation. Then he stopped remembering anything, started speaking in strange languages, and became violent toward animals and people. Dr. Young gathered all the information and warned that the same thing could happen to Tyler, wanting to help him before it was too late. Pete stayed silent, so Dr. Young decided to leave, leaving Jack's file on Pete's desk so he could read it at his own pace. Tyler fell asleep while Pete watched TV, then Pete carried him to bed before heading to his office to drink the whiskey he had taken from the storage unit. When he returned to check on Tyler again, he found his son playing with Jack's toy. Pete lay down on the bed behind Tyler and asked what he was doing. Tyler replied in a very strange, distorted voice that he could smell whiskey on Pete. His voice remained heavily distorted. Pete asked again if his mother Amy smelled whiskey on him when she drove the car, and Pete was shocked because he had left to go out. Tyler was having another nightmare while his father drank alone. Drunk, Pete went to the storage space that had an office and cassette tapes. He played a tape and heard Father Williams speaking with a young boy named Michael Gibbons, who sounded exactly like Tyler. Michael's voice was distorted, and Pete kept listening as the lights started flickering. Pete fell asleep on the table while listening to the tape, and Tyler did not move. The next day, Pete woke up to the sound of his son and started cleaning everything before talking to Tyler. Tyler was acting normally, and Pete promised to help him hang a picture of his mother later. Pete was in his office when he noticed through the security cameras that the gates were open. He watched the footage and saw Tyler moving a trolley. He realized that Tyler had dug up Buddy's grave, took the dead dog's body, and moved it to Storage Unit 105. When Pete went to check the storage, he was shocked by the sight of Buddy's mangled body. Pete was furious. He knocked on Tyler's door and asked him what he had done to Buddy, but Tyler didn't remember anything. Pete held Tyler on the bed, trembling, and told him to stop pretending and acting like he didn't remember. Suddenly, Pete realized Tyler was actually doing something wrong. He let him go, and Tyler ran out of the room screaming. Pete called Dr. Young to tell her what had happened, and she promised to come as soon as possible. Later, Pete found Tyler again in front of Storage Unit 105 and apologized for what had happened before taking him back home. At the same time, Dr. Young was conducting a therapy session for her own son. Pete returned to Storage Unit 105 to clean it. Dr. Young realized that Tyler had been talking to his deceased mother, and that Amy was responding to him. Meanwhile, Pete found a file and read it out loud. Tyler then went silent and looked at Dr. Young with a strange expression. In a very distorted voice, he said that Jack had died to save him. After burying Buddy again, Pete ran back home and ran into Dr. Young on the street. She advised Pete to send Tyler somewhere he could get help quickly, but Pete refused to believe that there was anything wrong with his son and didn't want to send him away, as he had done after Amy died. Pete returned home and reassured Tyler, who was pretending to be scared of what was happening. Pete decided to investigate himself and contacted a real estate agent named Rachel, who knew everything about Richard Gibbons. He asked her how Richard had died. Rachel told him that Richard had killed his wife, and then himself after their son Michael disappeared. Pete fell silent, afraid the same thing could happen to Tyler. Tyler listened again to the tape of Father Williams treating Michael. Father Williams was yelling at Michael, who was possessed, and Michael's voice sounded distorted on the recording. Father Williams was completely unhinged and couldn't overcome the spirit possessing Michael. You could hear him hitting the boy, while Father Mann tried to stop him. Pete immediately stopped the tape and called the church to reach Father Mann, but he wasn't there. Pete asked the girl on the phone to tell Father Mann it was urgent. At the same time, Tyler called Dr. Young for help and told her to take him to the place she had mentioned. She told him to calm down and reassured him she would arrive as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Pete was talking to Father Mann about Michael Gibbons, but he passed out mid-conversation. Father Mann didn't realize Pete had fainted and said he would visit him the next morning. Dr. Young arrived and searched for Tyler until she found Michael's bike, which Tyler had been using. Storage Unit 105 was open, so she entered, and the metal doors closed behind her. When Pete woke up, he went to check on Tyler, who was still asleep, and noticed Dr. Young's car outside. He reviewed the footage to see where she went, then went to Storage Unit 105 and opened it, only to find Dr. Young dead. Pete cried, thinking his son had killed Dr. Young. Wanting to protect Tyler, he decided to hide the crime and bury Dr. Young in Buddy's grave. He parked her car in one of the storage units and cleaned the crime scene completely. The next morning, Father Mann arrived as promised and found Tyler playing while Pete was still cleaning the crime scene. Looking at the rocky floor, Pete noticed that the blood had seeped into the cracks. He dug and uncovered Michael Heller's remains. Pete took Father Mann to Storage Unit 105 and showed him the door, where they found Pete sitting on the floor, shocked at the sight of Michael's skull. When Father Mann saw this, Pete went insane and tried to attack him. Suddenly, the metal doors closed, trapping him inside. Tyler's voice sounded terrifying as he spoke, while Father Mann prayed over him. Pete tried to bang on the metal doors to save his son. When he saw Father Mann choking Tyler, Pete grabbed a metal scissors and cut part of Father Mann's skin, then shouted for Tyler to strike Father Mann's neck, killing him. After that, Tyler became the innocent child, while his father was the one who had gone mad and killed. Tyler looked at him with a strange expression and even smiled as he saw Pete trapped inside a police car. The film ends there. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.